A very good morning to all the dignitaries, guests, Board of Management, to all the chairpersons, deans of whips, faculty of DSB, to all the other team members present here as the participants among us. Our director, Professor Rajiv R. Thakur sir, will be joining us shortly. The topic of the Crossroad Talk series is Mind Matters, Knowing Self, with the dynamic of business, economy, and public psyche evolving rapidly. Risk and mind management has become an integral part of any school pedagogy. Subsequently, this session is to emphasize on the idea of knowing self and understanding self to nurture mindfulness all the time. Now, I would like to invite our guest speaker, Professor Colonel A.K. Rajpal sir. Before we proceed further, I would like I would like to let you know few things about him. Professor Colonel A.K. Rajpal sir is an alumni of Indian Military Academy, IMA, Dehradun, UP, India, where he was adjudged as the best cadet and he passed out with silver medal in 1971, being first in the order of merit in 31st Technical Graduates course at IMA Dehradun. Colonel A.K. Rajpal sir is a war veteran of 1971 Indo-Pak War, and ever since he has held various staff and instructional appointments in prestigious military and civil establishments during his 32 years of service span in Indian Army. Professor A.K. Rajpal sir is a postgraduate in English with internship in two foreign languages, and he is also the alumnus of Indian Institute of Mass Communication, Jawaharlal University, New Delhi, India, a certificate holder in business management from College of Material Management, Jabalpur, MP, India. Professor A.K. Rajpal sir has been head of the Business Communication and Behavioral Sciences Department of one of the prestigious business schools in country. He has taught and trained PGDM and MBA students in
Hello.
behavioral sciences, managerial competence, and career development. He travels widely and attends seminars and makes paper presentation in various conferences all over the world. He also has to his credit the conduct of various management development programs for both the public and corporate sector, such as National Thermal Power Corporation, National Hydropower Corporation, Central Warehouse Corporation, IFCO Maruti Suzuki, Nestle, Border Security Forces, Delhi Police, and public sector banks, Airport Authority of India, MIT Pune, etc., in business communication and other softer skills, and he continues to do so. Professor A.K. Rajpal sir is a warrior's reader, prolific writer, and an erudite speaker, a devotee mentor, and a renowned education consultant. Sir, I now request Professor A.K. Rajpal sir to join and grace us with his presence.
Thank you very much, Kalpana. Good morning, all. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start my today's session with a simple statement that career success begins with knowing oneself. How can we know ourselves? One of the most important organs of the body is mind. It's only mind that helps us to know ourselves. An Urdu poet has so beautifully said, मंजिलें उसी की होती हैं जिसमें जान होती है, अरे दोस्तों पंखों में कुछ नहीं हौसलों में उड़ान होती है. When we talk of हौसले or when we talk of courage, when we talk of our guts, everything is directly connected to and related to mind. Even Kathopanishad has said it, and the reference comes so beautifully. It says, Uttist Jagrit Prapya Varam Nibodita Surasya Dhara Nisita Duratyaya Durgam Patastat Kavyo Vadanti. Arise, awake, and approaching the known ones, enlighten yourself. This path is very difficult to tread and very hard to cross. Yes, even Vivekananda went on to say that this path is very hard to cross simply because we do not apply our mind. We do not understand ourselves. And because we start feeling helpless in a given situation, whenever we confront an adversity, we feel hopeless. Why? Because we have not analyzed the situation and we have not been mindful of the situation. The moment we become mindful, and becoming mindful emphasizes the very fact that mind matters most. And that is why the topic of today, that mind matters. Ladies and gentlemen, it is mind that gives us thoughts, it's mind that gives us ideas, it is mind that gives us feelings of love, hate, anger, jealousy, envy. It is mind alone that probably creates complexities and problems, and is mind alone that gives us solutions to those problems, depending upon what state of mind we are in a given situation, or what we sport in a given situation. It's been very beautifully said that we are what our thoughts have made us. So keep concentrating on your thinking, because words are only secondary. It's only the thoughts that matter, and thoughts last longer, and they also travel very far. We can only control one thing in the world, and that is the way we think. They say it is thinking that makes it so, क्योंकि मकसद तो है दिल को समझाना. When you control over your thinking, you can take control over other aspects of your life, and thus free yourself from self-limiting beliefs and visualize career success. Many people think, ladies and gentlemen, that it's the other people or the external events cause the problems in our lives. But this is not the case. The outer world is reflection of only the inner world. Because among many factors that influence and change a person's life, the foremost factor is our thoughts. We say that the person has, so-and-so person has changed due to this or due to that circumstance or that incident, but the truth lies in the fact that the person has changed because the person has been able to or successfully applied his mind, and he's changed his inner being and applied to the external happenings so beautifully in a given situation. A lot depends upon how you think about a situation and the attitude that you adopt at that moment. It has been proven that people under the similar circumstances, ladies and gentlemen, behave differently because of their difference in thinking. One may make oneself miserable while the other may still remain joyous. Indeed, all ups and downs, joys and sorrows in an individual's life, they begin with his thoughts. Thoughts are like, ladies and gentlemen, fire that can either burn you or that can illuminate you. And they are like needle and thread. They could be needle alone without the thread, and they can pinprick you on various occasions in life. But if you applied that thread of mind along with that needle, you're able to get away from those complexities and problems and come closer to your solutions of life. Because it is the mind only that helps you to understand the environment. So how you think, that is more important, because the mind, sometimes you call the brain, ladies and gentlemen, is the source of all thoughts. It has 700 billion neurons, they say. Just as the sun scatters its roshni in all directions, its rays in all directions, so does mind emits its special kind of energy every minute. It is because of the revolutionary thinking that people have been, or great people have been able to bring about changes in the fields of politics, religion, society, philosophy, and what have you. It is, ladies and gentlemen, the mind that brings in hatred, it's mind that brings in love, any misunderstanding and collaboration. In fact, all human actions are made meaningful by thoughts emanating from mind that matters. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, to refer here to the liberating role of Vedanta. Vedanta means culmination of knowledge. Ved is knowledge, and Ant is the end. You are aware of your body, mind, and intellect, but not your real self, what lies within you, and helps you to discover your true self and true nature and your inherent being. Therefore, one has to be very, very careful to understand that how the mind functions. And we must here try to concentrate on a very simple fact of life, that life is an anubhav dhara, a stream of experience. As long as this experience flows, there is life. When the flow ceases, the life also comes to an end. And experience, therefore, becomes a unit of life, constituted of two factors. One is the subject, and the other is the object. The individual you is the subject, and the outer world is the object. When the subject, that is you, comes in contact with the outer world, that is the object, and experience flows, and then experience becomes the law of life. It makes you get connected with the issues of life. It makes you grapple with the issues, situations, and the subject meets the object. You can then gain experience, and the flow of experience, ladies and gentlemen, remains to be life. One class of thinkers, that is the scientist, they worked upon the objects, that is the world, to provide humanity with peace and happiness, contributing towards the welfare of the society. And yet, people have not been happy. We know we have got artificial intelligence, we have got data analytics, we've got crowd computing, we've got any number of advancements as far as the technology is concerned, but yet the people are not happy as they should have really been. There is worry, there is anxiety, there is suffering, there is sorrow, and things like this everywhere. This is precisely because the people have not been able to concentrate on your own self. And this contradiction in terms, when the subject is not happy, despite the advancement in the object, that is the external world, the ancient sages then came here and they tried to investigate the anatomy of experience, and they found out that despite all this prosperity and peace, the happiness is not there because the individual subject has been totally neglected, ladies and gentlemen. And the individual has been unattended. This unprepared individual, it lived in stress and strain in the world of plenty and prosperity. These sages then came to our assistance and focused on individual with the sublime philosophy of Vedanta, the knowledge designed to rehabilitate the individual to his or her perfection. Ladies and gentlemen, don't think that I'm giving you a moral lecture on speaking on religion, but I'm bringing you very slowly closer to the understanding of self, which is very closely related to the mind, which really matters in life. Every time, all the time, everywhere, not during your career in BBA, not during your studies in MBA, but throughout life, what I'm speaking, please concentrate, and then we'll gradually come to how we understand ourselves. Subjective development, ladies and gentlemen, prepares the individual to meet the challenges of life, the objective world. Human beings alone, remember, are faced with the ability to make or choose their options. It has been very beautifully said by an English author that an individual is only that much free as the number of options available to him or her. And how do we adopt those options? How do we come closer to these options? We come closer only when we start applying our mind. So what makes you choose your actions and enables you to make right choices and adopt purposeful decisions and options? Vedanta gives you that knowledge and provides you with the technique that you can apply in your home, your business, your society. Everywhere it is known to It is known as Sanatan Dharma, eternal principle, a systemic knowledge which gives an insight into life, drawing you towards your innermost core. Ladies and gentlemen, please try and understand as to how mind starts bringing you closer to your own self, understanding yourself. I've been quoting Vedanta does not mean that I am concentrating on one particular religion. Every religion, you read Quran, you read Bible, you read Mahabharata, every religious book has concentrated on knowing self. Because unless you know yourself, you cannot make any advancement either in personal or professional or in social life. And how do we do it? We do it, as I've already told you, and I'm repeating it, that take life as an Anubhav Dhara. Now, when we take life as Anubhav Dhara, it leads us to a kind of self-awareness which expounds the truth methodologically and logically. No master, ladies and gentlemen, or Masiha can claim to this property of an individual. No religion has hold on it, and it is totally bereft of any caste, any creed, any community. This self-awareness appeals to all lovers of truth and divinity. It trains you to think independently and helps you to come closer to the essence of life, directing you to study, reflect, and realize the fundamental truth of life, leading you to personal, professional, and social competence. It frees you from fanatic superstitions and parasitic ideas infesting humanity. The root cause of suffering, ladies and gentlemen, in life has been, therefore, that we do not look within to become self-aware and investigate the truth of life, our real existence, and force us, compel us to live in our elusive infatuations. It is only when we start understanding ourselves that we start educating ourselves to those eternities which are lying in front of us, but only waiting to be trapped by all of us. Now, if I talk about even Mahabharata, and I do not know how many of you are aware of the story of the battle between Kauravas and Pandavas. See the kind of option the people adopted in a given situation by applying their mind, whether right or wrong. Even Karan, Bhishma gave their own reasons of following the path of adharma. Even Kunti, you read in Mahabharata telling Vidur that Karma or Karan was undergoing a very adverse life despite being of a royal blood. He was suffering, living the life of a charioteer's son. And you know what Vidura replied to Kunti? He said, I am also the son of a servant, but unlike Karan, I do not whip myself on that account. So it is not the situation that pains us, but the state of our mind. We suffer from thought attacks rather than situations. And they say that thought attacks are deadlier than heart attacks. So what kind of thinking, ladies and gentlemen, you should be adopting? That is the first question in my mind today, and I want you to acquaint you with that kind of thinking that you should be adopting from today onwards for lifetime and not for your BBA or MBA. And what is that? I put it, critical thinking, start adopting, practicing, and developing your faculty of critical thinking. What is critical thinking? Anyone? Any two sentences or one sentence about critical thinking? Yes? Can anyone give me a reply? Yes, Rahul? Can you?
सर क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग होती है मतलब किसी चीज के बारे में एंड तक सोचना, मतलब उसके सारे आउटकम सोच के सोचना उसको। हेलो सर।
So, may I speak, please?
सर म्यूट हो रखे हैं।
Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
So, I think किसी भी situation को facts and उसके पूरे judgment सोच के किसी भी चीज का situation का decision लेना।
Shabash. Now, please, I will not waste time because we have hardly any time. Now, please start writing. All the students, start writing, because this will be from here onwards. It will be not modeling or moralizing. It will be or not sermonizing. It will be just one-to-one. Right. What is critical thinking? Please start writing fast. It is a purposeful and reflective judgment about what to believe and what to do in response to a situation, an expression, an experience, an argument. I repeat, critical thinking is a purposeful and reflective judgment about what to believe and what to do in response to a situation, an experience, an expression, an argument. All right. If you have taken it down, now I would like you to, we could have got into that one-to-one session, but there is no time, paucity of time. So I would like to give you a list of surveying yourself on this aspect. Start writing a few items that I give you of critical thinking. There are 10 of them on the right side. Put yes, oblique no, so that you can keep ticking and can keep ticking no, depending upon whether you are a critical thinker or not. So this survey goes, number one, I am good at reading or resolving issues. Number two, sorry, I am more rational and intellectual than emotional and sentimental. Keep writing, keep putting yes or no right in front of each statement that I'm making, because this is a survey that you have to undertake for yourself. I can collect evidence carefully and weigh it objectively. 4, I can identify bias, self-deception, distortion, and misunderstanding, misinformation, etc. I can identify bias, self-deception, distortion, misunderstanding and misinformation, etc. 5, I can look at things from a multiple perspective. I can look at things from multiple perspectives. 6, I challenge things. Again, I'm meeting. I challenge things when appropriate and propose alternatives to consider. I challenge things when appropriate and propose alternatives to consider. Number 7, I collect information and analyze it carefully to arrive at my conclusions. I repeat, I collect information and analyze it carefully to arrive at conclusions. Number 8, I do not usually make sweeping statements or jump to conclusions. I do not usually make sweeping statements or jump to conclusions. Number 9, I normally exercise control before expressing something. I normally exercise control before expressing something. And the last but not the least, number 10 of this survey that you have to conduct throughout your life is I normally tend to respond. I normally tend to respond rather than react to things. Yes, now I want to find out whether all of you have written these 10 points of undertaking survey. Yes. Anyone? Anyone? Yes, Stuti? Yes, Stuti? Yes, Kamaya? Anyone? Have you understood? Just don't put your hand. I want you to tell me what have you understood in 2 sentences.
Yes, sir. I actually missed the 5th point, but from the remaining 9, I got a tick mark on 7 of the point.
This is a survey not during for your BBA and MBA. This is for our life. Every time that we confront a situation, I've already spoken enough on how you react and respond to situation. Instead of reacting, one must be responding and applying your mind all the time. And I've given you examples of Vedanta. I've given you examples of Mahabharata. And I want you to understand how the life moves with the help of the mind, gaining experiences every time. Now, with this survey, I'm wanting you to please keep checking yourself in any given situation, whether you are jumping to conclusions or not. Now, having said that, we move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, when you get into the habit of responding and not reacting, the stage of understanding self starts. What happens? You start looking inwards. You start looking towards your inherent being. You know, Aldous Huxley is very well said, and I quote Aldous Huxley here. He says, what lies behind us and what lies ahead of us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And that within us starts getting understood from here now when we stop reacting to a situation and start responding with those 10 points of survey that I have given you. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to emphasize is that we start now getting into the field of understanding ourselves. And this starts with having conducted that survey all the time on ourselves. that we start responding to a situation and not reacting. Ladies and gentlemen, as I started and I said that career success begins with knowing yourself. Now, knowing yourself has got 5 major components. We'll discuss them very briefly a little while later, because each one of them requires a different session for it. But before we come to the 5 components to understand oneself, let us form an image of ourselves. Let us form a self-concept. And I will take a few minutes on discussing the formulation of self-image and self-concept. I would request Kalpana here to probably show them or disseminate the slide that I sent yesterday on 4 images of self. And once you have done it, please confirm that students have received it so that I can follow and start from here. Yeah, thank you. I hope everybody can see these 4 images of self.
Yes, it is visible. Please go ahead, sir.
Good. Thank you. Now, these are 4 images of self, ladies and gentlemen, and they always are with ourselves, whether we are aware of it or not. The 4 of them are in front of you. The first is who we think we are. Now, I'll keep reading a few sentences on each of these images from my notes. Keep noting them down, the salient points, because they are always with us, whether we like it or not, whether we believe it or not, whether we are aware of it or not. And our understanding of self, our involvement of mind, which matters in life, depends on these 4 images. The first, as I said, is the one that you think you are. This is mostly related to the body. Very well, an Urdu poet says, देखा जो आईना तो मुझे सोचना पड़ा, न खुद से मिल सका तो मुझे सोचना पड़ा. एक दिन बैठकर मेरे ऐब गिनाने लगा फिराज. ऐब is the faults. जो खुद ही थक गया तो मुझे सोचना पड़ा. यूं तो था मुझे अपनी अदा पे नाज. I was very proud of myself, but देखी जो तेरी अदा तो मुझे सोचना पड़ा. Ladies and gentlemen, we keep comparing our perceptions in life. We don't limit ourselves only to the images of our body. Yes, our physical self is very important. The body is yours to maintain and keep healthy and to be starved, not starved, so that you are socially accepted or look better than others. Remember, your body will respond to your thoughts of it. Love your body. It is your vehicle for your life. But don't let the body be the basis of shaping your thoughts. That is who we think we are. Now I move to the second image. That is the one others think you are. Ladies and gentlemen, how often it has struck that we formulate our self-concept through others' opinion of us. The concept is called looking glass self. It is based on the Charles Cooley's poetic comment, each to each a looking glass reflects the other that doth pass. I repeat, Charles Cooley's poetic statement, each to each a looking glass reflects the other that doth pass. I have just now given you an Urdu poet's image of it. देखा जो आईना तो मुझे सोचना पड़ा. If others communicate that they think we are smart, we are not only likely to reflect that appraisal in how we act and think about ourselves, but also start behaving in the manner of being one. And conversely speaking, if others communicate that we are dumb or unlikable, we may reflect their approval by seeing ourselves in those ways and start getting into that kind of a cocoon where we get into depressions, where we get into all those problems because others think that we are unworthy and we start thinking that we are unworthy. Why should we base our image on others' concept of us, others' thinking and observation of us? Why can't we be confident of ourselves, of our inherent being, that spiritual being that we will talk in the third one. So, to sum up the second image, although it is difficult not to be influenced by others' opinion of us, a steady and sustained alignment of ourselves, our words, our deeds, and our thoughts, they send right signals to others of who we are, and we develop a kind of a trust in others about us, and we give them or send them an image of our being trustworthy. So what is that image? Right in that horizontal line, your thought, that is how you apply your mind, which gives genesis to thought, which gives birth to thought, and then what you speak. From your thoughts come the words. And then what you have spoken, have you acted accordingly? So your thought, your words, and your deed, this makes you an aligned person in life, and nobody can say or judge you by saying Ganga gaye Ganga Das, Jamna gaye Jamna Das, because you remain committed. You speak what you believe in, and you perform. You do not change your stance every now and then, and don't base your personality on others' image of you, and you keep that sustained alignment of yourself. Now I come, ladies and gentlemen, to the third image, which is also very important, the one you really are. What is that? The one you really are, which is what? Which is divine. Which is that divine? The word divine has always been associated with God. But it is also another word for the ultimate beauty that one sees, maybe in a face, maybe in a flower. The divine, or rather the beautiful you, is what you need to tap into all the time. It does not know the ugliness of fear. It does not know the ugliness of pride, jealousy, anger, and ego. It knows you only as a beautiful human being. It really does not take, remember, ladies and gentlemen, to change. Just love yourself for who you are, and don't make modification and adjustments just to be accepted by others. Live your own beliefs for yourself, not to impress others, but to be happy with your own self, despite the fact that impression management on right occasions is an important exercise in the organizations. Remember that divinity in you, that belief in you, or what we call in simple language, be comfortable in your skin. The fourth, ladies and gentlemen, image, very important. Sorry. What we want others to think who we are, which is all related to the mind-boggling task of living up to others' expectations and losing yourself in the bargain. Although it is closely related to the second image of ourselves, what others think we are, it differentiates itself by being a great stress generator. Whereas the second one does not create that kind of a stress which this image of yourself creates. Because why? You're trying to think, अरे भाई वो क्या कहेगा? अरे भाई मैंने ऐसा कर दिया तो क्या होगा? Now, this kind of a stress always remains with us. What does this person that think of me? Or am I saying the right thing or wrong thing? Or what should I do to make them think well of me? These are issues that are playing in our minds for most of the day. And the only way to get rid of these negative effects on your psyche is to understand, firstly, what? Why we need a certificate about who we are from others? Why do you need a certificate from others to tell you as to who you are? Why do you subject yourselves so easily to others' opinion of you? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, confidence and standing up for what you believe in are the key to a positive mind. Just as it is important to grind the seeds well to get an even powder, so it is to analyze any situation deeply to understand. Don't just sit back and base your life on wanting others to think of us as a particular type. Analyze what you are saying vis-a-vis the prevailing circumstances or situation, and then live life according to what you believe in and what you really are. It is a sure shot, ladies and gentlemen, for escaping to be typified. I hope you understand. Typified means वो ऐसा है, तू ऐसा क्यों है, मैं ऐसा क्यों हूं. And therefore, try not to be four people. Try to be just one person. That is you. That is what you really are. And keeping this image in yourself and belief in yourself and committed with your thoughts, words, and deeds, ladies and gentlemen, keep understanding yourself. And this understanding of self starts with mind, and it is mind that matters. Uttist Jagrit Varam Prapta Nibodhita Surasya Dhara Duratyaya Durgam Patastat. So say the messages. Ladies and gentlemen, Kathopanishad says, and I'm repeating it, that I did the first time in the beginning. Right. Now we move forward from here to understand the 5 components of knowing ourselves. Having removed this image from here, Kalpana, and now we are moving forward. Yeah, we are moving forward to the 5 important components of self understanding. Before we move there, I would like you students to take 30 seconds to mull over as to what we have understood so far. Sorry. And come out with 2-3 sentences. I'll give you time to concentrate on all those images that I have given you, and then give me 2-3 sentences of what you have understood so far, so that we proceed from here and understand the 5 important components of knowing ourselves. Yes, I will wait for 30 seconds, and I request one of you or couple of you to come out with statements. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes. Karmanya Ahuja. Yes, Karmanya. Yes, Karmanya. Yeah, I can see your hand. I would like you to speak
Hello,
it out.
hello. Yeah,
Yeah.
sir. Actually, the host wasn't allowing me to unmute. Yeah.
Okay, doesn't matter.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. I want you to, because everybody is listening. What you have understood.
Yes, sir.
The message will go across. Yeah.
So, sir, I've been listening to what you've said, and I had to actually deliberate on something that one of the point you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah.
And out of one of the points of the survey, so you had said I normally tend to respond rather than reacting to things.
Correct.
So, sir, I would like to deliberate on this by giving an example from Bhagavad Gita. So
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was a shlok which had a meaning, and I would directly come to the meaning. So it said that just like a chariot has a person who is handling the leash and has a horse in front. The leash is our 5 senses, the horse is our habits, and the chariot, the person who is running the chariot, is our mind. And hence, it is our mind who has the control of our habits. So, sir, when in a situation like this, when a person having good or bad habits is unaware of the fact how it is being controlled by their mind or by the influence around them, in such a situation, now sir, I'm converting this to a question which I would like to ask. Hence, sir, in such a situation, how does a person know that their reaction towards anything is their response, or it isn't just a reaction to what someone said?
Thank you for this question. And you very well quoted the instance from Gita. A very simple thing, probably. I don't say that you were not concentrating. I said, when you respond and you do not react, the answer comes from within you. And how does it come? Because you have not jumped to conclusion. You have not busted out on a given situation, and you've taken your time to think and analyze and then given your point. Now, once you have given your point after having analyzed, you are not reacting to a situation, you are only responding. Now, the second part of your question, whether it is right or wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, in life, there is nothing right, there is nothing wrong. It's a matter of, you have just now quoted from Gita and very beautifully, our five senses. What are our five senses? These five senses go to make our perceptions. And our perceptions are what? Our perceptions is our beliefs, our values. We can have a separate talk on this subject, but suffice here to understand that once you have conveyed, depending upon your belief and your values, the other person who you are interacting with or you are grappling with the situation, it gets sorted out, it does not get sorted out, but you are comfortable in your skin, having thought over the issue and not just reacted and responded. Somebody gave you a gali and you gave gali back, ladies and gentlemen, that is reacting. When you stop and understand as to उसने मुझे गाली क्यों दी, क्या वो व्यक्ति ही खराब है या कुछ ऐसी परिस्थितियां आ गई थी कि उसने मुझे गाली दी. When you stop and reacting to his gali and understanding this thought, you have applied your five senses and you have just now quoted from Gita so beautifully, and you remain comfortable in your skin. Whether somebody has accepted your proposition or not, that's about it. Have I answered your question? Have I answered your question? Hello? Hello? Hello, my dear. Where have you gone? Can he be unmuted? Muskan, who's speaking? Have you understood? Who gave that question? Sabrina? Hello? Yes, I can see your hand. Please
Hello.
unmute.
Sir, actually, they were not allowing me to unmute myself.
Okay, doesn't matter. Have you understood what
Yes,
I
sir.
said?
Yes, sir, I understood what you said. It made sense to me. Thank you for your explanation, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, Karmanya Ahuja is there. She wants to say something. Please unmute her.
No, sir, I am Karmanya, and I
Okay.
was the one who was speaking.
Wonderful, Karmanya. You got it. Karmanya and Ahuja, very good, very well said. And I am very glad that you have understood. Right. Now, I was coming to the five major components of understanding self, which lead us to our personal, professional, and social excellence. Now, the first one, ladies and gentlemen, please start noting and making notes from here because they're very important. That is the crux of the entire talk of today. The first and foremost component of understanding self is, write down, understanding your communication style. Understanding your communication style. Now, what is your communication style? Write down, because otherwise we'll keep discussing. Your communication style, ladies and gentlemen, is the patterns of behavior that others can observe, can be called our communication style. So, what it amounts to, it is important to understand the impact you are making or your communication style is making on others to form impressions of you. It is sometimes difficult for us to difficult to realize that people can differ from us and yet not be inferior. Understanding your own and others' communication style improves our working relationships by increasing our acceptance of other people and their way of doing things, what we call, in other words, interpersonal relationships, IPR. Now, you will ask me, sir, fine, I've understood the definition of communication styles. But what are the styles that you are talking about? What are those styles? Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring in here the communication experts, and they say that there are 4 communication styles that may help us identify our most preferred style. What are they? Write down. Number 1, emotive. Number 2, director. Number 3, reflective. And the next one is, and the last one is supportive. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you earlier also that one can have a complete session on each one of these styles, but suffice it to say here that any rigidity and inflexibility in your style are likely or is likely to lead you to a breakdown in human relationship or human relation, and you start or you tend to blame people. So avoid and learn to make use of a communication style which is appropriate to an occasion or a situation. It answers the previous question also partly of what the student asked and himself gave the answer, and then I responded to it. So neither one style is good nor the other style is good. It is only what you adopt in a given situation by being either director, that is bossy, being supportive, being empathetic, being absolutely flexible in your approach, and being emotive sometimes if it is required, then being reflective sometimes if it is required. So understanding your communication style is the first and the foremost factor to understand yourself. Now I move to the second component. Sorry. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the second component is self-esteem. I hope you're taking down notes. Yes. So what is it? Building your high self-esteem. The importance, ladies and gentlemen, of self-esteem as a guiding force in our lives cannot be overstated. What do you understand by the component self-esteem in knowing yourself and making yourself known to others? Yes, I would pause here for 30 seconds because that's very important. That is the crux and the fulcrum of the entire existence in life. Yes, sir. Anybody? I will wait for 30 seconds. What do you understand by self-esteem? Very important component to understand yourself, and I've already said and I'm repeating that understanding self starts from. Yes, Sabrina.
The students are requested to please put in your answers in the chat box, and Kalpana will read it out in order to save from any inconvenience and save on time.
Okay.
And yeah, so I think Rajpalji, it will be okay with you, I think.
So I'll continue. I'll continue without asking questions.
No. They will be answering on the chat box, and Kalpana will read it. That's the only difference.
Achha, okay.
So anyone who is raising their hand should put their question or answer in the chat box.
Okay. So yes, Kalpana, Shardil Kumar has been wanting, or Kush Gupta has been wanting, and Sabrina Khan has been wanting to speak.
Sir, I request them to put their questions in the chat box.
Yeah, not question. I've asked them a question as to what they understand by self-esteem. Let them give you an answer and read it for me.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
So I can see that it's Kanika Sharma who writes. Yeah, you please continue. Yep.
Yes, sir. Kanika Sharma says, self-esteem is one's perception of self-worth. And Sorja Sen of PGDM says, my personality would be empathetic, immoved, and supportive, but sometimes bossy when in panic mode.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're talking about move. Good. I'm glad you tried to answer this. But we are talking of self-esteem. Okay. What is self-esteem? I will give you a very simple formula. Please write down and note down. Self-esteem equal to self-efficacy and self-respect. All right. Now the question comes, what is self-efficacy and what is self-respect?
Sir, here Soumya Garg says, self-esteem is self-worth or personal value or appraisal of your own appearance.
Okay. All right. Now listen to me. Self-esteem is, ladies and gentlemen, you will appreciate and you will agree with me, is only internal and can only be internal, as you said. It is the relationship between a person's self-efficacy and self-respect. And self-efficacy is what? Is the belief, as you said, that you can achieve what you set out to do. And self-respect is what you think and feel about yourself. Your judgment of your own value, as you said so very rightly. I'm repeating, your judgment of your own value is a primary factor in achieving personal and career success. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you may ask me how to build self-esteem. As I told you that each one of the components requires a special session, but I'm just briefly touching upon so that you can start working right from now. And remember, I'm repeating and I'll keep repeating, what we are discussing is not for your BBA or for MBA. It is for your lifetime, ladies and gentlemen. Lifetime. So you may ask as to how to build this self-esteem that we have just now tried to define in different ways. Write down again, number one, search for the source of your self-esteem. Write down, search for the source of your self-esteem. Now, where do you search for this source? Just now I said, apply your mind to given situation. Second, identify and accept your limitations. Number two, identify and accept your limitations. Number three, take responsibility for your actions and decisions. Just now I said, thoughts, words, and deed. Applies to the same thing. What is said? Take responsibility for your actions and decisions. Number three, develop expertise in some areas. You understand that? When I say develop expertise in some areas, well, upskilling yourself constantly. Knowledge never ends, ladies and gentlemen. It goes until up to our dying day. So what it says, upskill yourself, develop expertise in some areas. Number four, seek the support and guidance of mentor. Well, there are situations, ladies and gentlemen, in everybody's life, including mine, when we get stuck and when we go to our mentor and find out, why do we go to ashrams? Why do we go to dharmic places? Why do we go to parents? Why do we go to elders? Why do we go to teachers? We go only to accept them as our mentors and find, because of their experiences, to learn from their experience rather than burning our own hands. So what it says, seek the support and guidance of mentors. And next is, ladies and gentlemen, very important, set goals. Set goals. And I'm sure your instructors and professors would be talking a lot about setting goals in your course of studies. The next is, ladies and gentlemen, practice visualization. Practice visualization. Now, what is visualization? I've already told you. Keep reflecting in your mind. Keep ruminating. I hope you understand the word ruminating. Ruminating is what? जुगाली करना. जैसे ऊंट खाना खाकर और पानी पीकर रेगिस्तान में बैठ के जुगाली करता है और उस जुगाली से फिर उसका ब्लड बनता है, उसी तरह keep reflecting on situations, then you probably get that discretionary thoughts and ideas, what is good or what is bad, what is right or what is wrong, but keep visualizing the success that you want to achieve in your life. And then a very important factor to develop self-esteem is, write down, ladies and gentlemen, use positive self-talk. Because negative thoughts are referred to as your inner critic. Use positive self-thought. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, remember, keep listening to the sound advice of the people and the authorities in the organization also, because they sometimes act as your mentors and they help you develop your self-esteem. I hope you've understood what is self-esteem. And self-esteem is, ladies and gentlemen, nothing else but that formula that I gave you: self-efficacy plus self-respect. And that leads you to build your self-esteem. It's a continuous process. Now I move to the third important factor of understanding self, and that is what? Your personal values influence ethical choices. Write down the third component: your personal values as ethical choices. Okay, if you have written, move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been very beautifully said that if you have character, that is all that matters in life. And if you don't have character, that is also all that matters in life. What is character? I'll pause here 30 seconds. Very important to understand from you. Yes, Kalpana, help me out.
Yes, sir. As soon as there's an answer, I will definitely let you know, sir.
Yeah, okay. I'm waiting 30 seconds. My question is very simple. What is character? What do you understand by character?
Khush Gupta says, in my opinion, self-esteem is when someone reflects on themselves and create a valuation or a self-worth of some sort in that creates sense of confidence, character, that in turn affects their daily life choice.
Who said that?
Khush Gupta.
Khush Gupta. Tell Khush Gupta that we have moved miles ahead from self-esteem, and that is over. I am now on to the third component of...
Rahul Raheja says, what we build from our thoughts and action is our character.
Okay, all
Aman
right.
Sharma says, character refers to our behavioral pattern at different situations.
Okay, right. Thank you very much for this attempt of answering this question of mine. Now, please write down what I'm saying. What is character? What is character? It is composed of personal standards of behavior. It is composed of personal standards of behavior, including honesty, integrity, and moral strength. In simple words, ladies and gentlemen, if you cannot keep your commitment and keep changing your stance, you are unethical. Meaning thereby, don't let your life be driven by the desire of immediate gratification. I repeat a very important sentence. Don't let your life be driven by the desire for immediate gratification. That is, in other words, the get the deal today mentality seems to leave little time for ethical deliberation. ये अभी करना है, अभी खत्म करना है, चाहे कैसे भी हो, चाहे कुछ भी हो. That is unethical. We've already said responding to a situation and not reacting, ladies and gentlemen. And when we say that, we are showing our character also simultaneously, because we are not into the philosophy of get the deal today. That mentality is not there. And we are getting away from those unethical decisions which come to us by way of reaction and not response. So to sum up the fourth component, it says, be sensitive to others' needs and compulsions. What it says? Be sensitive to others' needs and compulsions. This will make you behave ethically most of the time, because when we are sensitive to others' needs and others' compulsions, we then try to react, not and respond all the time by reflecting, by applying our mind, which matters all the time. Is the class with me? Are the students with me? Okay. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Priyanka Katyal to everyone. Yes, Priyanka. Kalpana, what Priyanka says. Kalpana?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In a minute, sir.
Priyanka wanted to say something.
She says character is basically the qualities that we possess, maybe truthworthiness, respect, and responsibility.
Okay.
And sir, there's Ambika Nagpal as well.
Yeah, Ambika.
She says, just a minute, sir. She says character is a unique combination of moral values, learning from experiences, and physical characteristics.
Wonderful. Very good. I don't know what would physical characteristic do here, except that non-verbal communication that probably you are trying to apply in your communication style, which is very important because non-verbal communication is also a book-length study. Very good. Very nice. I have summed it up, your personal values, which influence your ethical choices. And I've said it. Write down that sentence, everyone. And very simple is be sensitive to others' needs and compulsions. You will make your behavior absolutely ethical most of the time. Right. Now we move to the fourth component, ladies and gentlemen, of understanding self, and that is what? Write down. Attitudes can shape your life. What is the fourth component? Attitudes. Why? Because it is the attitudes which shape our life. Ladies and gentlemen, attitudes are not like gifts or some kind of present that you can wrap it up in a box or a gift box and present it to somebody and say, happy birthday. It is not that. It is what? It is merely thoughts that you have accepted as true and that lead you to think, feel, or act positively or negatively towards a person, idea, or event. Now, having given you the definition of attitudes, ladies and gentlemen, I would request you to respond to this definition of mine so that I understand as to what you understand by the term attitude in knowing yourself, because they say that on your attitude depends your altitude. This statement you must have heard many a time. And if you know this statement, you'll be able to probably give me the answer to the definition that I've just now given you. I'll repeat my definition of attitudes. They are merely thoughts that you have accepted as true and that lead you to think, feel, or act positively or negatively towards a person, idea, or event. Yes, Kalpana, I'm waiting for their response to this definition. Anyone?
Sir, Acharya says it is the attitude that makes a person a leader or a follower. Sorja says attitude is how we carry ourselves and present ourselves. Rahul says no, he's not. He's having nothing to say, sir.
Okay, good enough. Ladies and gentlemen, these are good enough because otherwise we'll be running short of time. So sweet of you, at least you have started interpreting what I'm saying. Very good. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that the belief in yourself, that positive attitude is a good thing. And second, that one's current circumstances, even if at first they seem unreasonable, you try to adapt yourself to that given circumstance or a situation, because it is all a matter of attitude. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that employers in the organization, and soon you'll be joining the organizations after completion of your BBAs and MBAs, they value certain attitudes in their employees. And what are those? Please learn and practice them in order to develop that attitude, and you are happy in an organization and you make the people in the organization happy. And those attitudes that you should be developing in yourself with the organization demands of you are, write down, number one, self-motivation. Number one, self-motivation. Number two, openness to change. Number three, team spirit. Number four, health consciousness. I'll take a minute here to make you understand or find out from you whether you have understood. Why do the organizations expect this kind of an attitude in you? That is your health consciousness. Anybody? Kalpana, let somebody reply.
Yes, sir. Adhyatam says, I will be making my own organization.
Very good. If you make your own organization, very smart reply. He's smart like me. Ask him very simple question again, Kalpana, that if you make your own organization, should you be health conscious or not? Just ask him this question.
Adhyatam can reply. I will read it out here.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do the organization want their employees to be self-conscious? Even if you are opening your own organization, your startup, what do you want to say? In other words, you're being in a, you're getting into an enterprise. Good. But why should you be? Shouldn't you be health conscious if you're your own organization also? I'm stopping here because very important these days, in this.
Adhyatam says, definitely great work output comes from good health. The
Good.
type of work you do is depending on our health, and health helps us to do more efficiency.
Yeah, very good. And go back to that image. Out of those 4 images, the first image when he said that it is your physical self. Yes. Good to be handsome, good to be beautiful, good to be looking good. But don't base yourself entirely on your looking good. Your health consciousness are all the parts of your body, ladies and gentlemen. That psychomotor ability of yours. That is, you do not apply for leave time and again by being what? Ill or indisposed. That is why the organizations are wanting you to be self-conscious or conscious about your health. Now, the next one, please write down, ladies and gentlemen, the next one to develop your attitude or the organization wanting you to develop is what? Appreciation of co-workers' diversity. What is that? Appreciation of co-workers' diversity. All 5 fingers are not the same. We know it. No individual is the same. That is why they say individual differences. And we must understand we should not label a person either below us or above us, or dignified or undignified. Just try to develop that kind of a team spirit and appreciate co-workers' diversity. And the last one, ladies and gentlemen, that the organization expect out of you by way of your attitude is the most important one. That is what? Honesty. Write down. What is that? Honesty. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are slowly moving towards the conclusion, and that is the 5th and last component of understanding self. And that is what? Write down, motivating yourself and others. Motivating yourself and others. How do we define these 2 terms of motivation? Remember, motivation is derived from the Latin word movere, M-O-V-E-R-E, meaning to move, and can be defined as influences that account for the initiation, direction, intensity, and persistence of behavior. At the same time, knowing what motivates others people is basic to establishing and maintaining effective relationship with others. I will repeat this statement. Very important. I'm going to repeat this very slowly. the last component, motivating yourself and others. Motivation is derived from the Latin word movere, M-O-V-E-R-E, meaning to move, and can be defined as the influence influences that account for, these words are very important, which are following: account for the initiation, when you start, the direction, the intensity and persistence of behavior, as also, or at the same time, knowing what motivates others people is basic to establishing and maintaining effective relationships with them. Ladies and gentlemen, here I would like to bring the reference to Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs. I'm not going to get into it because that's a chapter by itself. You all understand, you will be dealing with it in your own course study, hierarchy of needs. Yes, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, all these 5 needs that Maslow talks about are very important in motivating yourself and motivating others. But there's another one, and that is rewards and punishments. Now, rewards and punishments are not applicable only to the authorities in the organization to be given to you or to the employees as such, but it is also coming from within. That is, when you do a good deed and you are complimented all around and you feel very happy to have achieved something, you reward yourself. And also you punish yourself, not punishing yourself physically or mentally, but you're punishing yourself by understanding or developing that understanding and reflecting that you have gone wrong and you should not be doing this wrong again. So that is reward and punishment besides the Maslow's hierarchy of needs that makes you, ladies and gentlemen, motivate yourself and motivate others. Ladies and gentlemen, I have now concluded my thought by saying, or I would like to conclude my entire talk today by saying very simple that I started from Jagrit Uttist Varam Prap Nibodhita, and I would end by saying very beautifully, which has been said again by a Urdu poet, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि खुदा तुझसे पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. कहते हैं कि वो क्या खाक जिया करते हैं जो घुटनों के बल चला करते हैं. And not घुटनों के बल, ladies and gentlemen, but how you move, standing up, arising, awakening yourself, and getting into the company of the enlightened ones and getting into your mentors and understanding yourself by applying your mind often and getting into that T system. Write down my parting thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. T system, that cup of tea that you take every morning. And what is that T system? T stands for thoughts, E stands for emotions, and A stands for actions. If you have this in you to control your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, ladies and gentlemen, any success, whether it is career, whether it is personal, whether it is professional, whether it is societal, it is always there with you. Very rightly said that knowing others is intelligence, but knowing yourself is true wisdom. I repeat, knowing others is intelligence, but knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength, but mastering yourself is power. Mastering others is strength, but mastering yourself is power. And I part with you here by quoting Peter Drucker, the guru of all management. And he says, and permit me to quote Peter Drucker, I quote Peter, success in the knowledge economy comes to those who know themselves, their strengths, their values, and how best they perform, unquote. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoyed interacting with you. Looking forward to your questions on my email ID, which is with Kalpana. Thank you so much.
I'll just come in a bit. I'm Rajiv here, Colonel Rajpal.
Yes, sir.
So thank you and much gratitude for accepting this invitation and being with us. And I'm sure the students have enjoyed, learned a lot. And as just a true Indian soldier, which is something which we must learn, dot at 12:30 you have ended. So this is what the time management is all about, the precision.
Abar, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So our salute to you and to the entire community or fraternity of the Indian forces. Thank you so much. And I would request any of the students, or I think I'll request Professor Nirja ma'am, who has been here, if she can share her thoughts on this particular. Rashmi ma'am is there? Okay, Rashmi ma'am is here. So Rashmi ma'am, if you could share your thoughts, and of course, so I would like to hand over to Rashmi ma'am. Thank you so much. And we interact hereafter, sir, over phone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Very kind of you, sir. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, Rashmi ma'am.
Namaskar, Colonel Rajpal sir. It has been indeed an honor for all of us, I must say, to have a veteran like you. We all have very high regard for the defense forces, and we have deep regards and it has been wonderful hearing from you. You have given precisely what it takes to understand the basic human psychology. You have dwelled in detail, given very relevant examples, and you also got into the teaching mode, which was wonderful, because it is important for all of us to understand the theoretical concepts. Then only we can apply our learning. So it has been a wonderful session, sir. All your thoughts were thought-provoking, and at the same time made us to understand our own life, our own self, become self-aware. So thank you so much for taking out your time, sir. We are indebted to you. Thank you so much. My pranam to you, sir.
Rashmi, thank you very much. Keep telling your students a very good thing that we all follow in the army.
Yes, sir.
And also keep searching for it lifetime. They say, मोहब्बत रंग लाती है जब दिल से दिल मिलते हैं. मोहब्बत रंग लाती है जब दिल से दिल मिलते हैं, मगर मुश्किल तो ये है कि दिल ही मुश्किल से मिलते हैं. Ladies and gentlemen, interpersonal relationship, tell them to keep always in the mind, and that comes with understanding self, and understanding self comes from mind. That is the most important, and that is why mind that matters. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Lovely interacting. God bless.
Thank you. Thank
God
you.
bless.
Sir, I would now like to present a virtual memento on behalf of the entire team of Delhi School of Business to acknowledge the efforts made to enlighten us all, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much to each and every participant here and each and every member present here to make this event a successful one. Thank you once again to everybody.
Very kind of you, Kalpana. Have a nice day, and very, very valuable and cherishable memento that has been given to me. Very kind of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Send it to my WhatsApp also.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Have a nice day. Thank you, sir. Dr. Rajiv, sir. Thank you very much. And all the members of your team. Very kind of you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day. And
thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.